About 10 years ago, I was in a group of folks going on a little Jeep trip. We went off-roading after the blessing of the Jeeps in Mesick, Michigan. We had a couple people in our group that had FRS radios and had quite a bit of fun just talking smack back and forth between the Jeeps and everything, and it was pretty fun. So the next year, everybody decided they wanted to have radios, and one of our people in our group had bought a nice new pair of radios. He got the best ones he could find, and he was all proud of these radios, and before we got there, he had gotten them out, and he's holding onto his radios and trying to talk to each other, and it would only go one way. This guy, I guess, struggled with this for a little bit before we showed up, because by the time we got there, he took these two radios and handed them to me, and he said, "See if you can fix these things." And he muttered a few expletives when he walked away and everything. So I took a look at the radio and looked at the front, and said, well, he's on channel 10. And then there was another smaller number in the lower right corner of the screen that said like a 7 or something like that. I don't remember the numbers exactly. I'm just using an example. I knew right then that he had the the continuous tone coded squelch system, or CTCSS, turned on. I went into his menu and I, set that to off, and magically the radio could talk to the rest of the radios again, or the other radios could talk to that radio. It was that direction. Everybody could hear each other except for that one radio. At the time, that feature was not a very common feature on these radios. It was the more expensive radios had it. The cheap ones did not, and most people had the cheap ones. So, moving on from there, we had a good day jeeping, and then everybody went their separate ways, and that was the second of 2 ever Jeep get-togethers that we had. Just didn't happen again. A few people, just stopped talking to each other, grew apart, or whatever you want to call it. So anyway, explained, like I said before, CTCSS stands for Continuous Coded Squelch System. And it's a method used by radio manufacturers to allow us as a user to limit communications into a smaller group without hearing everybody else in the world. So, example here, I've got these 2 radios. One of them has a continuous tone squelch number 10. Some radio manufacturers call them privacy tones, which is the opposite of what they really are, but I've got this one set to nothing. There's no tone transmitted, and this one is set with a tone. So if I transmit with this one, test 1 2 3, test 1 2 3, nothing comes through. You can see the screen changes color, but there's no audio. Okay, the other way, this one has a tone enabled, but this one does not. Testing 1 2 3. The audio comes through. The only way to get this radio to talk to this one is to either enable the tone on this radio or disable the tone on this one. Now, the best practice would be to disable the tone on both radios so you can hear everybody and you're not accidentally transmitting over other people without realizing it. The less annoying thing to do would be to set tones on both radios, and then they can only talk to each other. You can carry the radio around all day long, and you may not hear anything until the other person wants to talk to you. That's the convenient thing to do. So really, you got pros and cons. The pros are, again, like I said, the radio stays silent until your other party transmits. Another pro is your wife won't throw the radio out of the car window or turn it off because of some annoying kids playing Grab Their's Hammer with their official Buzz Lightsaber Trek Wars space communicators or whatever. You know, they got their little plastic bubble wrap cheapy things. Not that these aren't cheap. If anybody knows what these are super cheap and people make fun of them a little bit. Then the cons, like I said before, you can't hear other users on the same channel, so you might transmit over them. Others can hear you, so this does not make your conversation private in any way, even though they call them privacy tones. Some less expensive radios don't have the CTCSS tones and will not be compatible with this feature. So that's my little explanation and anecdote about tones and how to set them up and why you would use them. Again, thank you, and hopefully I provided some information that's enlightening to you.